How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is Eric Erickson across the United States. I'm delighted to have you with me. The phone number, 877-973-7425. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the live stream, the show notes, the podcast, and a whole lot more. Well. Angus King, Democratic senator from Maine who claims to be an independent, but he's actually a Democrat, went on Morning Joe today and said, standing up to Donald Trump, well, it wasn't really working. Defying Trump just isn't really a thing. He's drawing the ire of the leftists who, well, they're not big fans of Angus King to begin with. And to have him say what he said, well, hear him in his own words on Morning Joe.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were two goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to. In terms of standing up to Donald Trump, the shutdown actually gave him more power, Exhibit A being what he's done with SNAP and SNAP benefits across the country. Oh, by the way, Joe, you're going to love this. Guess who's getting paid during the shutdown? Not the park rangers or air traffic controllers, the ICE agents. Under special law, under that big, awful bill that they passed last summer, the ICE agents are being paid. Nobody else is. So standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power.
Yes, it did. It gave them more power. Now, what is being done with that power? This is the point where my Trump friends get a little aggravated with me. The president has said he wants to do $2,000 tariff rebates to people. Here's the problem. The economic stimulus checks provoked inflation. And while the money is out of our pocket to the government, there actually is ample research that you give people $2,000 back and they all go spend it, they're going to provoke some inflation. This could be inflationary. And the president seems to have spoken off the top of his head without consulting to anyone. His Treasury Secretary is now trying to walk it back. Here is Scott Bessent.
I haven't spoken to the president about this yet, but it could the $2,000 dividend could come in lots of forms, in lots of ways, George. It could be just the tax decreases that we are seeing on the president's agenda. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility of auto loans. So, those are substantial deductions that, are being financed in the tax bill.
So maybe we get some tax cuts out of this. Here's a reality here. The president has come up with two proposals to reduce economic harm to people. One is the $2,000 tariff rebate, which is a suggestion the tariffs did raise money. And you got to keep in mind that just this past Wednesday, the president's Solicitor General argued before the United States Supreme Court that the tariffs were not a revenue-raising vehicle. If they're not a revenue-raising vehicle, how do you have enough revenue to give $2,000 to every American family? That's going to be relevant to the Supreme Court's decision. They don't operate in a vacuum. Secondly, The president has decided he wants to roll out a 50-year mortgage. Now, this is him talking off the top of his head, and I recognize talking off the top of his head. But also, even though the president's talking off the top of his head, people are going to take him somewhat seriously, and a 50-year mortgage would be a bad idea. Now, as you know, I am no math expert. I went to law school to avoid doing math. Every once in a while, though, I still have to do math. Here's the problem. I can Google, and in so doing, let me give you some numbers. For a $400,000 loan, and by the way, the $50,000 or 50-year mortgage is bad because, the mortgage and home ownership is the greatest way to do intergenerational wealth transfer. The families that are doing the best in America, and we're not talking to the wealthy, we're talking to the middle class. The middle class families that do the best are the ones who have an intergenerational wealth transfer in the form of a family home. If you have a 50-year mortgage, the odds of you having paid off your mortgage by the time you die is actually pretty slim. And let me run the numbers for you. Based on the current interest rate, average national mortgage interest rate of 6.3%, a 30-year mortgage you'd have a monthly payment of $2,300. You know what it would be for a 50-year mortgage? Instead of $2,300 a month, actually $2,398, it'd be $2,105. So you're only saving about $300 a month, but you're going to be paying a much, much greater amount of interest. Let me read you this. The primary drawback of a 50-year mortgage is a substantial increase in the total amount of interest paid. Homeowners gain equity at a much slower pace. For a $400,000 loan, assuming a 6.25% interest rate, the 30-year loan would accrue $438,156 in total interest paid to the bank. The 50-year loan would do $816,396 in interest, a difference of $378,240, or 86% more in interest payments, even though the loan that you pay each month would only be a couple $100 less, only a couple hundred less. Also, by the way, most bankers say that, a 15-year loan has a lower interest rate than a 30-year loan, has a lower interest rate than a 50-year loan. So if we're assuming a 6.25% interest rate, that's on the 30-year. The 50-year would probably be 6.5%. I'm flabbergasted by the idea of a 50-year mortgage. And I'm $2,000 stimulus check. That's a tariff rebate. I'm glad that Scott Besson is a little bit hesitant on that one because it would. Here's the problem. Yeah, there are people who say that, yes, as a matter of fact, this money came from us. It's not new money into the economy. There's a problem, though. The Fed just cut interest rates. The Fed cut interest rates to get more new money into the economy. You couple that with a $2,000 rebate, you're going to have more inflation. That's economics 101. This isn't my opinion. This is just factual. So, and again, it's all speculative, but there are times I listen to the president and I'm like, guy, my man, can you not talk about these policies before you vet them with the people who are actually economically smart, like Kevin Hassett and Scott Besson? I thought it was very notable that Kevin Hassett did not want to be asked about the $2,000 tariff checks because why? Inflation. That guy, I kind of wish Besson, by the way, or not Besson, Hassett, Kevin Hassett, I wish he would be the next Fed chair. I like that guy. He's good. He's done a very good job of defending the president's policies, but also knows when to steer clear of some of the bad ideas that are out there. Now, while all of this was happening, I got to say, yesterday the president was on ABC for the Commanders game, and he's just people these days are kind of wild. If you criticize the president, you must hate the president. If you say something nice about the president, you must be like the ultimate Trump lover. I criticize the man, but also find him very endearing. And one of the reasons is his football appearance yesterday on ABC.
Scored on all of their possessions today. Now the Commanders look to get back into the end zone. This is Krosky Merritt. So Ronald Reagan, well before becoming president, he was a sportscaster.
That's
he
right.
called Big Ten football. He called Iowa football games. Would you like to call a play?
Well, I would like to do that if you'd like me to, but I will say that your second string, your backup quarterback is a good quarterback, and he's had some very good games for you, and your first string quarterback has the potential, I think, to be a great quarterback. He's got to stop the injuries somehow. And let's see, we have a very important, I think this is a very important couple of plays.
Here we go. Second and 7.
Right, 2nd and 7. Let's see what happens. Whoa.
That's
all right.
Krosky Merritt.
Not bad.
Takes it down to the 5-yard line.
That's right. That's right. Good runner.
There we go.
This is a very big play, don't you think?
I think
they have to get a touchdown. Let's put it differently. They just have to get a touchdown.
There we go. Now you're doing my job, because that's what I was going to say. They have to get a touchdown.
Just forget about the play. They have to get a touchdown.
So you've done my job, now you've done his job.
Right.
That's the president. One more clip from this when the Commanders do get the touchdown.
Which is a record, so we're doing great, just like they have to do great right now.
4th and short.
Let's see what happens.
On 4th down, Mariota throws to the end zone, touchdown! Just like you dialed it up. Samuel.
See, that was very important. Got a little ways to go yet, but still, that was very important. Now your ratings have gone up because there's hope.
Now your ratings have gone up because there's hope. Listen, it's possible to disagree with people and still like them. And I disagree with the president on these economic ideas he offered over the weekend, but his presence on TV, he's funny, he's relatable, and this is what drives Democrats insane. Everything the Democrats do right now is reacting to the president. There's so much more out there, but the Democrats aren't even leading right now. They're not leading. They're just they're focused on responding to the president. And thanks to Chris, it was Fox, not ABC he was on. It was Fox. I was trying to watch that game on my flight home yesterday, and they weren't showing that game. I was a little bit disappointed. They had terrible games on the play yesterday. I was forced to watch the Jets and the Browns. Apparently, there is one team in the NFL worse than the Jets. It's the Browns because they lost. Dare I mention the Falcons? Is that too painful for my Georgia audience? It's not the hope that kills you. It's hoping the Falcons can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat that kills you. My goodness gracious. Yeah, I like football season. And I kind of like being able to be on an airplane where I can watch games. But yesterday, every single one of the games that they had was a terrible game. I actually wanted to watch the Bills game, and I couldn't watch the Bills game, which turned out not to be a bad thing, although I don't hate Miami. But I don't know. I was watching the football games, then I landed last night, and I see all this stuff about the president wanting $2,000 tariff checks. I was like, are you kidding me? Really? Please go back and do more football commentary, Mr. President, and let your Treasury Secretary comment on the economy, because when Scott Bessent is cool to the idea on television, you know what would be good and wouldn't cause inflation? Tax cuts. That's what Scott Bessent proposed. Let's do more tax cuts in a future reconciliation plan, and that'll help stimulate the economy, and it will leave people their own money instead of giving them money back from the government, which won't have an inflationary effect. And right now, Republicans have a cost of living crisis that they themselves have got to deal with. And you can sound like the Democrats and deny it's a problem, but Republicans, you're not Democrats. Stop playing the Joe Biden playbook of claiming that there's no problems, because there are clearly problems. It's showing up across the country and saying that everything is fantastic. That's what Joe Biden did. Maybe actually go do some more tax cuts and deregulation. Now that the government's reopened, get back to business and fix the economy for the public, and let the Democrats go to civil war over not reopening the government or capitulating and actually letting the GOP reopen the government. The Democrats are going to have this massive civil war now between the moderates and the progressives. The GOP, be prepared to take advantage of it, but fix the economy to do that. Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. The United States Supreme Court has decided to take up a major election case. It is a case involving the Mississippi Republican Party. The Republican Party of Mississippi sued the state of Mississippi. The Republican National Committee joined the lawsuit because in Mississippi, you're allowed to cast a vote, and they still count absentee ballots that flow in multiple days after the election. So there's been a lawsuit filed. It has made its way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will decide if votes must be counted no later than Election Day, or can they still trickle in. Big case. The other big case is the Kim Davis case out of Kentucky. The Supreme Court has rejected it. Now, no reasonable person, in all honesty, no reasonable person thought they were ever going to take the case. This is the case of the lady who she was the clerk in Kentucky. She refused to issue same-sex marriage licenses. She was sued. She lost. She was ordered to either do it or leave her post. She tried to go to the Supreme Court, and not only did she want to make a religious argument, but she also wanted the Supreme Court to overthrow Obergefell, which was the gay marriage case. And the entirety of her case was poorly designed. And every legal scholar I know of any credibility said they're not going to take it. The only people who believed it were the Democrats, who were insisting it as a way to delegitimize the court and strike hearts in the fear of the alphabet gang, so they'd show up to vote. But there's really no legal analyst in the country who looked at the case and said, oh, yeah, they're going to overthrow gay marriage. I don't think that's actually the way it works. In fact, I know it's not the way it works. And I don't think they're ever going to get rid of gay marriage in Obergefell, but they could carve out religious liberty exceptions. But this case was just so poorly constructed that no one on the court, including Sam Alito, wanted to take it. Now, I got to move on because I got to tell you about my Eden Pure Thunderstorm. I had it in Las Vegas. Thankfully, I did not have to use it. I didn't have an adjoining room. Then occasionally I've had adjoining rooms, and it would wipe out odors if someone smoked in the room next to me. It wipes out all odors. It just works. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com, put in the discount code ERICK3, ERICK3. You can get 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms for upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your travel bag, your RV, wherever you need them. You can hold them in your hand. You can plug them up with a USB cord. You can plug them into the wall. They just wipe out odors. They kill bacteria and viruses. They trap pet dander, dust, pollen. They wipe out odors. No odor can stand up to it. Smoke odors, litter box odors, dirty diaper odors, cooking odors, you name it. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm wipes out the odors. EdenPureDeals.com is the website. Eden, like the Garden of Eden, pure as the driven snow. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERICK3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com. Get 3 for less than $200. Greetings, conversationalists. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you. Let's see here. I am waiting for my buddy David Huey, who is calling in. Every year we partner with Hungry for a Day. And Hungry for a Day is a fantastic nonprofit to encourage folks to just maybe give up your Starbucks for the day and, well, be generous with others this holiday season. Joining me by phone, my buddy David Huey. David, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thanks, Eric.
Absolutely. So let's tell folks, because I know you guys have expanded. You started in Atlanta, where you and I are friends, and now around the country you guys have been partnering with food banks and food pantries, probably needed more so this year than any other time, just given the government shutdown. You got federal workers and the like as well who need them. But just talk about what Hungry for a Day is and what you guys do.
Yes, we're an organization that's committed to inspiring generosity, and we do that around hunger-related causes. Like you said, we started almost 15 years ago now, and our first project. One of our first projects was helping a church try to feed about 25 families in their community, and that was 13 years ago. And since then, we're literally across the country. We're from Florida to Massachusetts, California, just all across the country. And it's been amazing. Like you said, we're helping food pantries, we're helping soup kitchens, women's shelters, churches, you name it. Last year, we fed about 65,000 people a Thanksgiving meal. And since we've started, over 300,000 people have had a Thanksgiving meal because people have just said, I want to help a family out when they're hurting.
So, okay. Now, I want to dive a little bit more into this. So, Hungry for a Day suggests action on the part of the people who donate. And can you just talk about the premise of naming the organization and how it's kind of evolved over time?
Yeah, when we first started, we were talking about, hey, how do we help people? How do we help people who are hurting? How do we help out of our excess? And, we live very blessed lives. And someone asked us early on, they're like, what if I can't even afford to give? Or what if it's tough? And, my simple response was, well, hey, go without food for a day so you can help someone that really needs help. And that out of that evolved our name, Hungry for a Day. And we have a lot of people that will take a day off eating. They'll give what they would have spent, whether it's, getting their coffee down at the coffee shop. It's, going out for lunch with their colleagues. It's taking a day off dinner and giving what they would have spent on food to help somebody else. And a lot of times what we eat just in a normal day can provide an entire family help. This year it's going to cost about $40 to provide a family a holiday meal, a Thanksgiving dinner, a Christmas meal. And it's, a lot of us spend that in a day. So that's where we are with Hungry for a Day.
So now let's just say, and by the way, folks, so I'm talking to my buddy David Huey with Hungry for a Day. If you text the word donate to 33777, I'll send you a link back. And if you click it, you got the price breakdown. So $40 provides a meal for a family of four. And so you can do the math. $80 provides a meal for two families of four, so 8 people. When you say that, though, David, on the website, $40 feeds a family of four, describe what that is.
Yeah, so the typical organization that we're helping with these food pantries, shelters, soup kitchens, that kind of thing, they're providing the meat. Usually that's turkey. Sometimes it's ham. We have some that are partnering with, local barbecue joints, and they're smoking some turkeys and donating those. We have one organization that works in the Hispanic community, and they're actually giving them chicken. They're serving fajitas. So it's what we're trying to do is meet people where they are, and everybody doesn't eat the exact same meal that we do. The majority are getting, a turkey, all the sides, the corn, the green beans, the cranberry sauce, the macaroni and cheese. But there's also some really cool situations where we're saying, what do these people normally eat? And let's help them out and get them that food that's, aligns with their culture.
So my wife and I have donated $500 to Hungry for a Day this year. I put my money where my mouth is on this, folks, because we really, you guys have stepped up over the last number of years feeding people. And so let me dwell on something you just said, because I found it fascinating, because this came up last year, that in some parts of the country, obviously turkey is it's very American, but we do have an immigrant population in the country who wants to participate in Thanksgiving, but maybe isn't really down with turkey. And so you guys really have partnered around the country regionally for what works best in certain regions to be able to help the people in that area just to make sure they get what they're going to eat when it comes to Thanksgiving.
I was at a giveaway a few years ago up at the Detroit area, and we had purchased 150 hams, 150 turkeys. And as families were coming through this line, people were literally standing for blocks in a line, or in line for blocks in the snow. I got pictures. There's about 6 inches of snow on the ground. People are saying, I need a meal this bad that I'm going to stand in the snow to get a meal. Well, the interesting thing was when they came through the line, it was like, hey, do you guys want a ham? Do you want a turkey? We gave away all 150 hams and I had only given away one turkey. So we started asking people hey, why do you guys want the ham instead of the turkey? And a lot of these were families that were, they're living in rent-by-the-week hotels. They're living in a place that they don't even have an oven to cook a turkey in, even if they know how to cook a turkey. So they're saying, hey, I can take a ham, cut it up, put it in the microwave, or put it on a skillet and still be able to feed my family. So we're trying to find out and say, how do we meet these people where they are and help them have a great meal?
So I've always been impressed with the nimbleness of what you guys do. And just let me describe this process for you guys as well. If you go through Hungry for Days website, you text the word donate to 33777. I'll send you the link back. I just tried it myself, so I know it works. And you can put in your donation. You can customize the donation. They have some ready set. And then also after it goes through, there's an option to see if your employer does a match, and they'll work with that. And then you guys, it's kind of a labor of love for you and the organization that you don't have like this massive infrastructure.
We don't. Everybody that works for Hungry for a Day is a volunteer. We don't pay any salaries. One of the incredible things that we do every year is in December is we raise our operating costs. Money for the entire year. And it costs a little money to keep a nonprofit going. It's not a lot, but it costs us, 20, 30 grand. And that's our website. We cover all the processing fees. So if someone gives $100, it costs us a few bucks to process that credit card payment. We cover that cost. So when someone gives $40 goes to help a family. And that's one of the things that we do that I think is really phenomenal. And it's an amazing thing. The way you guys have partnered with us is, I think this is our 5th year working together.
Yeah.
And I don't have all the stats because at first we weren't really keeping track and saying, hey, what funds have actually come, through Eric and through the radio show. In 2023, we fed, this is your listeners, gave over 16,000 meals. Wow. Last year in 2024, over 35,000 meals. So over 50,000 people have had a Thanksgiving meal just because of the generosity of your community. And we appreciate you sharing it with them.
So, again, folks, if you text the word donate to 33777, there are a lot of people this year. I know the president is noted the other day that the cost of a Thanksgiving meal has gone down compared to last year, and it's true, but it's still up significantly from before COVID. Yeah. The inflation rate has still been above 3%. In addition to now you've got numbers of layoffs that have happened before the holiday season. You got the federal employees who have been without a paycheck for over a month trying to get ready for the holiday season. There's a real need out there from coast to coast for people who need money. So, David, just can you kind of describe what else Hungry for a Day does? And there's a personal note here and I'll just tell you, my father-in-law works for a soup kitchen in his community, and David and the folks at Hungry for a Day have also been instrumental in helping them, not just upgrading like refrigerators and stuff like that, but helping with costs for food. I mean, you guys do more than just the holidays.
We do, and we do several projects every year. We've done projects across the world. One of our first projects ever is we helped there was a church that had a food pantry. They were meeting in a grocery store, and they're like, hey, we already got the shelving and the refrigerators and the freezers. We should start a food pantry. And the refrigerator went out. So that was the first thing we did is we helped them fix the refrigerator, repair that compressor. We helped a literal leper colony, people with leprosies in India. We built this a few years ago, built a bakery inside of a refugee camp in Iraq, and we were feeding about 1,000 people a day for about 18 months, providing them with fresh bread every day. So we do a lot of different things throughout the year, but Thanksgiving has turned into our biggest thing. You mentioned one thing real quickly about the cost, and some of the costs are up, some of the costs are down. One of the things so for the typical family, that price has actually dropped a few dollars this year. The challenge is these food pantries, their costs are actually going up. What was happening before, let's take Atlanta, for example. You had the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and because they were funded by the government, they were providing a lot of the canned goods, think the corn and the green bean, the cranberry sauce. Since they don't have that funding, they don't have those cans to be able to provide those food pantries. So what we were doing a lot of times is, hey, we got the cans, we need the turkey. This year we're having to cover all the cost. So the cost of these food pantries has actually gone up this year.
Wow. Well, look, hopefully people can, and I know there are people who just, they themselves can't this year, but I hope there will be enough people out there who can help and stand up and raise money. It's such a good cause. I'm so glad. I guess it was like so many of my friends over the last few years met via, I guess, Instagram and developed this friendship, and just to watch the generosity that you guys have and to expand it now across the nation from beyond Atlanta to the corners of this country that really need the help. It's been really cool to watch you guys do what you do.
This year we've identified, again, working with the food pantries, the soup kitchens, the shelters. We have over 74,000 people that need a meal. And we're going to do as much as we can to help them out. I think our number will probably be over 75,000 this year. And man, what you do with your community, your listeners, and people that are saying, hey, you know what, I can give a meal. Some people can probably give 5 meals. Some people can give 10 meals. And just saying, hey, I've been blessed this year. There are people out here that are hurting, and what can I do to bring some joy, to bring some hope to somebody that really needs help this year?
Well, hopefully people can step up. David, listen, thanks for stopping by and taking some time to talk about it. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Absolutely. David Huey with Hungry for a Day. And again, this is really important. If you text the word donate to 33777, what happens is I got a system I use because I'm not sitting here texting you back, I promise, while I'm on radio. I've got the system designed. It's going to text you back a link. It'll say help people for the holidays with Hungry for a Day. We'll text you back an abridged link. What you do is you click that link, txtf.co, and some random letters and numbers after it, and it'll take you to the Hungry for a Day website. And you'll see the show logo there. You know you're on the right place. 12 of you have donated so far. We got 12 donations in so far. Text donate to 33777 and sign up and help Hungry for a Day. And this is just me real quick. In all seriousness, no flippancy here. There are a lot of families that don't want help for the holidays. There are a lot of people who have a lot of pride, are on hard times, and they would rather suck it up. The holidays actually tend to be a time where you have greater depression, you have an increased suicide rate, you have massive stresses on families. If you know someone in need and you can help them discreetly and you're able to help them, please consider helping people this holiday season. If you have some extra money laying around and you want to help Hungry for a Day around the country, consider texting the word donate to 33777. You'll be taken to a special portal for Hungry for a Day where you can donate money. Every $40 you donate feeds a family, and it provides a turkey or a ham, depending on their preference. It provides the sides. It even provides a dessert for a family of 4. So $40 will feed a family of 4 their Thanksgiving meal, a family in need. And we have a lot of people in need this time of year. If you are someone who believes in personal generosity and personal responsibility, having people dependent on the government is not something that I particularly care for, or you, if you can, and I realize not everyone can. And if you can't, if you're in need, you may need to consider reaching out to your local food pantry, your soup kitchen, your food bank. There's nothing wrong with you doing it. If you're in need, Americans are generous and want to help you. And take the stress out of your life and just go do it. For your family's sake, for your own sake, for your peace of mind. I understand the pride issue. I do understand the pride issue. There was a time when my wife and I first got married. She had to have a double mastectomy before we had kids. She couldn't breastfeed. And there were months where we struggled with which bills we could and could not pay because we had to have formula. And we refused to get help. And we were able to make it work, but not without all sorts of stress. And in hindsight, I'm like, you idiot, there were plenty of people who would have been willing to help. If you're one of the people who's willing to help, if you text the word donate to 33777, I'll send you back a link to Hungry for a Day, and you can help a family in need. And remember, just $40. If you can't give $40, if you can only give $10, that $10 is still going to provide food for a person for Thanksgiving. $20 will provide food for someone at Thanksgiving. $5 will provide food for someone at Thanksgiving. Every bit of your generosity helps. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas. People are stressed out, trying to make ends meet. Unemployment is rising. There have been a lot of layoffs. There are a lot of people who are in this unusual situation right now. If you're willing and able to be generous, please text the word donate to 33777. Follow the link to Hungry for a Day and help a family this Thanksgiving and Christmas season be able to put food on their table for the holidays and have a real Thanksgiving. Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson, 877-973-7425. We crashed the server for Hungry for a Day. We got a new link and backup set up during commercial break with them. If you text donate to 33777, you can donate. Already we went from 15 people to now 86 people around the country. Really, 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 really helpful, and thank you for your generosity. I'll get to your phone calls on the other side of the break. Right now, I got to tell you about Americans for Prosperity, which has been around the country building a grassroots army of conservative activists. You go to americansforprosperity.com or you just go to afpvolunteer.com. You sign up with Americans for Prosperity, and you can help them get the message out on common sense conservative reforms around the country. You can be a part of it. If you want to be a part of it, you can learn how to knock on doors and talk to your neighbors about public policy, or show up at your local city council or your state legislature and advocate for common sense reforms, or you can just be the most informed person in your circle of friends, understanding that there actually are good policies out there on healthcare, on school choice, on business reforms and deregulation and taxes, on restraining the bureaucracy. AFP has all of those issues covered. You go to afpvolunteer.com, afpvolunteer.com. Sign up today with Americans for Prosperity. Get involved in conservative grassroots politics. Make a difference in the fight for freedom and free markets in this country. afpvolunteer.com, afpvolunteer.com.